All right, welcome everybody to our meetings tonight. We have, before our regular agenda, we have a public hearing on Inland Lakes District and then also our annual meeting of the Inland Lakes District. So I'll start with the public hearing. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. It's 6:01 p.m. This is a public hearing for the Inland Lakes District. I'll have Barb take roll for us.
Mayor Brian Smith.
Here.
Colin Dykstra.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Eric Halverson.
Here.
Dimitri Martin.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Corey Nagel.
Here.
Eric Olson.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Scott Berchatsky.
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
All right, the purpose of the public hearing, just reading off of page 2 of your agenda for the public, or the Inland Lakes, it says, notice is hereby given that the public hearing and annual meeting of the City of Waupaca Public Inland Lakes Protection and Rehabilitation District will be held on the 18th day of August, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers, City Hall, 111 South Main Street, Waupaca, Wisconsin, with the option to attend physically or virtually via video or teleconferencing. And you can see the public notice just has to do with our agenda, and then also our budget for 2027 is on there too, which Laura will explain more when we get into the Inland Lakes meeting. So this is an opportunity for anybody that would like to speak to the commissioners of the Inland Lake, which is all the council members, on the Inland Lakes District budget for 2027. If you would like to give testimony in favor of that, just step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time at the podium to 3 minutes or less. Any public input in favor of the Inland Lakes budget? Any testimony in favor of? Hearing none, we'll go to opposition. Is there testimony in opposition to the 2027 proposed budget for Inland Lakes District? Any opposition? Hearing none, I'll declare this hearing closed at 6:03 p.m. Let's go right into the Inland Lakes Protection and Rehabilitation Annual District Meeting. Again, today is Tuesday, August 18th. It's 6:03 p.m., and I'll call this meeting to order. Again, same individuals that were at the public hearing, council members or commissioners, they're called on the Inland Lakes Protection District, are in attendance. We have a full group. There are none that are absent. You can see that there's an agenda in your packet on page 2 again, is where the public input part of that was. We would need a motion to approve that agenda so that we can move forward.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Dykstra, that we approve the agenda as printed in the packet. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We have minutes from our meeting back on August 19th of 2025. You've had an opportunity to see those. If you're okay with those minutes, again, we would need a motion and a second to approve those so that we could place them on file for the record.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Martin, second by Peterson, that we approve the minutes from our annual meeting that was held on August 19th, 2025. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. So that brings us to resolution number IL 55, and as I talked about that, that's just basically the budget for 2027. You can find that on page 7 of your packet, and Justin has it up on the screen too, of course. Let me get there, and what I'm going to do is turn that over to our Parks and Rec Director, Laura Colbert.
Thanks, Mayor. So this year has been a light year for our inland lakes budget. We did not identify enough geese to conduct the goose roundup, so we did not spend the $3,500 that we typically spend on an annual basis. What we have been doing are our typical water testing, so we do a spring and fall test in Mirror and Shadow Lake. We also conduct summer sampling in Mirror and Shadow Lake for 3 months, and we run weekly E. coli tests through the county. And if those E. coli tests come in the red above 1,000, then we do an immediate follow-up E. coli test, and that's only happened 1 year, and that was right before the 4th of July, but luckily the second test came back okay. We also conduct one river water test on the Waupaca River. And the things that may come up in the future that may impact our budget is that the channel is becoming unnavigable. So we may look into dredging and or sucking some of the muck out of that, and that can be incredibly expensive. So the idea is to work with the DNR over the winter to define if that is a necessity and what they recommend. Our fishing dock at Lower South Park is also seeing its age and is pretty band-aided right now, so that might be another future purchase. The big dock at the swimming beach has lost its slide. It got cracked last winter, so we may look into replacing that. And then we worked with a consulting company called Ayers to design a future idea of what South Park could look like, and that included a potential bridge over the channel pending easements. So, so that could be a project down the road as well that these funds could be used for.
All right, thanks, Laura. So you can see on page 7 that our budget for revenue would come solely from property taxes, and that amount is at $10,000. That's no different than it has been for quite a few years now. And as Laura was explaining, the anticipation that there'll be disbursements of about that same amount, $10,000. The majority of that will be coming from professional services. And again, these are just estimates of what the expenses were. There's a lot of variables that go along with that. We do have estimated cash balance right now, which is 2026. We have an estimated cash balance in that account of just over $50,000. And so there is some additional funds in there besides what we're taxing for, or proposed to tax for in 2027. So, any questions?
I have one.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, Henry. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, you know, you're closer, and you got red on, so he saw you
sorry.
quicker.
Does this account, or can it earn interest? I mean, $50,000, 4.5%. One would think that if we have 10,000 going in, 10,000 coming out, that there might be some interest income to it.
Yes, it can. We have a pooled cash model for all of our funds, and so this would be invested alongside any of other tax revenue.
So we're not recognizing in this fund any interest earned?
Doesn't look like it, but Greg, that would be something we could look into, and it would just be basically a journal entry from the interest earnings.
Correct.
And put into that account. So you want to make note of that and see what we can do. We could do it for 2026, of course, and that does make sense, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fund that I would think benefit from it. It would be significant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the money is just going into the general fund, of course.
I know.
You know, so we're just taking it out of one pocket and putting it in the other. But I get what you're saying.
Thank you.
Yep. Henry?
I'm just making an observation, Mayor. My math isn't really great, but Inland Lakes 54. So that takes us back to 1976 when this started. And I remember, I just want to say something to the council, but also the public. Carol Elvery told us at some point, it stuck in my mind, we got the second national EPA grant to take stormwater and take it out of the lakes. It was just a big stormwater pond back in the day. Paid for pipes, Part of it was to create the Friends of Mirror and Shadow Lake, and here we are, 54 years later, still functioning. I think that's just remarkable, and that's just worth noting. All the previous councils that have supported this, the staff that have, guided the landowners and everything, it's just it just makes me feel really good. And, we're kind of an environmentally known state, and, a Republican created the EPA, Mr. Nixon. And we got the second grant in all the country. That's pretty cool. I don't know.
Thank you.
Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure of it, though, because I thought Carol said that. Remember, she gave this whole packet of information to somebody at some meeting, and she mentioned that. So I think that's worth noting.
Henry gave you a history about the Inland Lakes, but it might not be true.
Well,
No, I believe you. I truly, I've heard that before, too.
54, it's been a lot of years. It's a lot of years.
All right. Any other comments for that? Again, thanks, Laura. We would need a motion to approve resolution number IL 55.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Dykstra, that we approve resolution number IL 55. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We need a motion to adjourn this Inland Lakes meeting. Motion by Hagan, second by Olson, that we adjourn the Inland Lakes Protection and Rehabilitation District meeting is adjourned until its next annual meeting sometime in August of 2027, as always, subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 6:12 p.m. All right, we're going to move right into the regular city council meeting then. You ready? All right. Welcome, everybody, to our regular city council meeting. Today is August 18th, 2026. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:13 p.m. And as always, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll ask our clerk, Barb, to read the open meeting statement for us.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And would you take roll?
Sure. Mayor Smith,
Here.
Colin Dykstra,
Here.
Paul Hagan,
Here.
Eric Halverson,
Here.
Dimitri Martin,
Here.
Paul Mayo,
Here.
Corey Nagel,
Here.
Eric Olson,
Here.
Dave Peterson,
Here.
Scott Perchatsky,
Here.
Henry Veliker.
Here.
10 present, we have a quorum.
You want to start the introduction of our department heads that are here tonight?
Sure. Barb Nowak, City Clerk.
Justin Behrens, Interim City Administrator.
Eric Bailey, Library Director.
Greg Groman, Finance Director.
Laura Colbert, Parks and Rec Director.
Pete Krager, Chief of Police.
Thanks, Pete. And also Josh Warner, who's our IT person in the back room, making sure that Facebook Live is working, and our TV and our radio stations are also keeping our public informed on what we're doing tonight. Consent agenda is the next item on the agenda. These are our items that we take with one motion and vote on that one motion. Unless you see something in there that you would like to see moved to the regular agenda, you can see most of it is just monthly reports and minutes of meetings, nothing besides that.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Olson. Second by Peterson, that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. All right, under the regular agenda, we have one correction here. Under item number 8, if you look at item number 8, resolution, it says resolution 159. That's actually 1593. So if you could just add the 3 to the back side of that. Besides that, everything is as printed. We would need a motion to approve the regular agenda. You can see the agenda up on the board there, and obviously, council and staff, you have that sent to you. We need a motion to approve regular agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Dykstra,
Second?
second by Olson, that we approve the regular agenda with that one amendment. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Under non-agenda items, if you look at page 81 in your packet, you will see a resolution, National Sea Tracks Think Train Week. And this is an annual, it's short enough. I think I'll go ahead and read it. This is something that our train system that goes through the city of Waupaca sends to us on an annual basis. And it's good for us to remember all of this too. So I'll go ahead and read that. Whereas Sea Tracks Think Train Week is to be held across the U.S. from September 21st to the 27th, 2026. And whereas 2,273 rail grade crossing collisions resulted in 764 personal injuries and were responsible for 287 fatalities in the United States during 2025. Whereas educating and informing the public about rail safety, reminding the public that railroad rights of way are private property, enhancing public awareness of the dangers associated with highway rail grade crossings, ensuring pedestrians and motorists are looking and listening while near railways, and obeying and establishing traffic laws will reduce the number of avoidable fatalities and injuries caused by incidents involving trains and citizens. And whereas the International Association of Chiefs of Police, National Operation Lifesaver Incorporated, United States Department of Transportation, and all local, state, county, and railroad law enforcement officers, first responders, and railroad corporations commit to partnering together in an effort to educate at a national level all aspects of railroad safety to enforce applicable laws in support of National Sea Tracks Think Train Week. Therefore, I, Mayor Brian Smith, do hereby attest my full support proclaiming September 21st to the 27th, 2026 National Sea Tracks Think Train Week, and I encourage all citizens to recognize the importance of rail safety education. So again, this is just read into the file. There is no motion that needs to be handled there. Next up, we have public input. This is for any non-agenda items. If you'd like to speak to the city council and staff about a non-agenda item, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time to 3 minutes or less. Any public input? Any public input? Hearing none, we'll move on. We have, under community and department head reports, we actually have Barb Lackey here tonight, and she's reporting on the Rotary Club of Waupaca for the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network.
Thank you, Mayor Bryan and Council. I'm here for the Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network. As he said, in this month, I'm representing the Waupaca Rotary Club of Waupaca. We're having our Oktoberfest, or Rocktoberfest, September 4th, Friday of Labor Day weekend, which is early this year, and that'll be from 5:30 to 9:30. But I'm also here generally to thank you all for supporting our yearly fall fundraiser and for permitting us to open up the East Fulton Street early for the event. Justin has been very helpful getting me to get the correct signage so that we will make sure that the apartments, businesses, and residents of East Fulton Street are prepared for the closure. The Waupaca Area Arts and Culture Network organizations have all benefited from the city's continued support. We all appreciate the volunteer. We all appreciate Henry Veliker connecting the network as having a voice in the council, and it makes and making plans for the future of the city. We feel glad to continue to be a part of that. Rotary's ambassador sponsors, along with Rocktoberfest events, support a lot of things that get done around Waupaca. Scholarships, $10,000 worth of scholarships in the past year. The park, the Rotary Riverview Park, and grants that we give, and promoting of volunteerism, just to name a few. And one that was really great for this late last year, we have a third grade reading program where the Rotary pays for books. We also have the volunteers that go into the third grade classrooms once a month and read to the children and then donate the book to their classroom. And I have been doing that, and I know what an impact it's made on me, and I hope on the kids as well. And the children are amazing, so I think we're very lucky in our school system to have those teachers working with them. The Arts and Culture Network has proven that the saying that there's strength in numbers. We see when I go volunteer somewhere, I see volunteers that are at one event, the community arts board event, and then I see them are going to be helping at Oktoberfest, and you see them spread around, and that's how we get the word out. When we get together with all these other groups, the Historical Society, we all work together, and it's been making the concept of a network a functioning reality, and that is due to you guys' commitment to it, and our appreciation goes out to you once again. So thank you, City, for supporting the arts.
Thank you, Barb. Appreciate you coming tonight and keeping us informed. All right, this is a time where we usually have department head reports. I do want to ask department heads if you have something that's going on between now and our next meeting, which is September 1st, to just fill us in so we know and the public knows anything that you have special going on. We'll start with you, Eric.
Going on between now and then, we're at the end of a very busy summer. I don't think we have any events scheduled before now and the next meeting.
Sounds good. Greg?
We are in the middle of our budget workshop season, so if you are interested in participating or hearing more about our budget, feel free to tune into these meetings.
Thanks, Greg. Laura?
I don't have anything new to report.
All right. Pete?
We don't have anything either.
All right. Barb?
I don't have anything.
All right. Justin? You always have 100.
No.
Nothing?
I got 100 things, but
Anything you want to tell us before September 1st?
no. Pass.
Pass, okay. All right, sounds good. We do have a long meeting tonight, and department heads and council members know that we have a long meeting with the committee of the whole meeting to discuss capital plan for next year. So I think we're all trying to keep it a little short here at this time of the night. Let's go to unfinished business. Let's go to unfinished businesses. This has to do with the security camera policy. You've seen this before, but there were some questions, and so Josh is going to be coming out that door right now. And yeah. Paul had to drag him out. But
Yeah. My laptop's being weird.
Sounds good. So I just introduced you, Josh, so you're all set.
Okay, so following up from the last meeting with the proposed security camera policy, just a reminder, this is for our general security cameras. This is separate from everything going on at the police department, and the follow-up request was to get this in front of the city attorney to review, and our attorney did review that. And the only comment that came from him, I've got highlighted in my memo, was just clarifying the open records requirements for that security camera footage. Staff did do some research on that, and per the open records schedule that the state has, surveillance recordings we should maintain for the event or the date of recording plus 120 days. So the language in the proposed policy has been updated to state that retention length varies based on system configuration, camera count, resolution, and storage capacity. The city will configure systems retain at minimum the amount of footage required by the state of Wisconsin's Municipal Records Retention Guide, and it refers to City Ordinance 1.11, which is our public record. So just update the language to refer to both of those locations, and then no other changes have been made since the last meeting to the policy otherwise.
All right. So again, this is the second time you've seen this. This is a policy. It's not an ordinance change, so we're not looking at a first and second reading here. We're just looking at you approving this policy procedure here. Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we adopt the security camera policy as proposed by the IT department.
Second.
Motion by Veliker, second by Nagel, that we approve the security camera policy. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. All right, thanks, Josh. Next up is also under unfinished business. This is actually the second reading of ordinance number 0726, an ordinance creating chapter 27 of the City of Waupaca Municipal Code as it deals with sex offender residency restrictions and child safety zones. Pete.
Thank you, Mayor. My memo can be found on page 87 with supporting documents to page 95. As discussed during the first reading, the purpose of this ordinance is to provide the city with an additional reasonable tool to promote public safety and protect children by establishing restrictions on where certain designated sex offenders may reside and loiter. The ordinance would establish a 1,000-foot residency restriction around schools, licensed daycare centers, parks, specialty schools, and places of worship. It would also establish a 500-foot, I believe when I gave this talk 2 weeks ago, I said 50 feet. It's 500 feet restriction on loitering around these locations. Individuals who were lawfully residing at a location before the ordinance takes effect would be grandfathered in. The ordinance also creates a 5-member citizen sex offender residency board to consider appeals. Violations would be handled through municipal forfeitures rather than criminal penalties. The ordinance has been reviewed by the city attorney, and the Police and Fire Commission reviewed the proposal and unanimously supported forwarding it to the council. As a reminder, more than 150 municipalities in Wisconsin have adopted similar residency ordinances. The proposed ordinance has been structured to provide reasonable restrictions while recognizing the legal limitations that apply. At this time, we are recommending that the council considers adoption of this ordinance.
All right, thanks, Pete. Again, this is second reading. It's been out there for a couple weeks. I don't think we've received any public input on or any public comments on this. Council, any questions? Anybody want to make a motion to approve this ordinance?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Peterson, that we approve ordinance number 0726. Any discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, you're not off the hot seat yet, Chief. We have ordinance number 08-2026. This is just really updating the ATV, UTV routes, but I'll let you fill in the blanks there.
Thank you, Mayor. I would argue I'm always on the hot seat, but that's for a different time. This memo can be found on page 96 through 102 of your packets. The purpose of this amendment is to improve connectivity with the city. The Police and Fire Commission voted to support forwarding this proposed amendment to the council. Again, currently our ordinance authorizes ATV and UTV travel on state and county trunk highways only where the speed limit is 35 miles per hour or less. That language creates unintended conflict with existing routes that have been approved by Waupaca County and surrounding townships. The amendment removes the reference to county trunk highways from the restriction and recognizes the authority granted under Waupaca County ordinances allowing the city council to designate county highways within the city as part of the ATV-UTV route system. There are two primary route changes. I think on page 100 of the map is the map. The first is Oak Street, County Highway E. So just that little section on top of the map there. The curve, the speed limit changes to Nichols Creek Road and then extends into the county. So that would open up that route if this is approved. And then Royalton Street, roughly again Tower Road to Went Drive, connecting Royalton Street to the new subdivision that's being developed. All the other existing restrictions would stay in place, the downtown restriction, and then the other state highways that overlap our city streets would remain due to the speed limit being over 35.
Thanks, Pete.
Yep.
I'll just give you a real quick history about it, just so you understand why we're putting this here. So, County Highway E obviously is a county highway, and then also on Royalton Street is also County Highway K there. We actually passed our ATV, UTV routes before the county passed theirs. So when the speed limit got greater than 35 miles an hour on county highways, just like state highways, you were not allowed to drive on those roads with ATVs and UTVs. The county then passed an ordinance that allowed you to drive on county highways that had speed of greater than 35 miles an hour. So we're just putting it where the county has theirs now. So that's the connection part of it. All right? We need a motion to approve this, if you're okay with it.
Move to approve.
Motion by Hagan, second by Perchatsky, that we approve ordinance number 0826. Discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, Pete, thank you. Next, we have agreement renewal with GFL for the citywide refuse and recycling collection services. I guess this is kind of unfinished business again, but, so we'll have Justin just explain what's going on there.
Thanks, Mayor. So the memo starts on page 103. We actually have a GFL representative online. So Tim, if you can hear us, can you unmute and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Tim Miller from GFL.
Thank you. So if council has questions directly to GFL, they can ask that. So do a quick recap. So we looked at our contract with GFL, which will expire by the end of the year and allows for a renewal. In that discussion from 2 meetings ago, there was a couple questions that came up and the item was tabled. So the first, and I just detailed that in the memo. So the first of which is like, are we locked into this agreement? What kind of terms are there to potentially get out? And it's an agreement that's based on services. So if they provide the service and they do that service well, we pay them, the agreement is made whole. If one of those two sides are not done, so if GFL fails to provide the service, we can pull out. If we do not pay our bills, GFL can pull out. So that's the structure of the agreement and how it works. Then there was a lot of discussion on the fuel surcharge. So I did have a meeting with Tim and another individual from GFL, and basically what we came around to is the fuel surcharge, along with the prices that were listed in the renewal, it represents like a best value type of package. So when GFL just took over Gratian in the original bid, they were the lowest bidder on that sheet. So we awarded it to Gratian, which was basically bought out by GFL. But now what we're looking at is GFL and Harder's are both in the Waupaca area. We compared those two companies. So we have used GFL. Town of Waupaca uses GFL. Town of Farmington uses Harder's. So we looked at their rates, and GFL's fuel surcharge starts at $4 a gallon, and increases 1% for every quarter, and that is based off a 3-month average. So basically, it's a quarterly average. So we could have a high month and then a low month, and it could average out and then be underneath of that. Harder's, on the other hand, similar, has a $4 per gallon starting price, increases 1%, but for every dime, and that is based on just a 1-month average. So just looking at those numbers alone, there's a little bit more grace and flexibility with the GFL's policy versus the Harder's. And then I guess just kind of looking further into, I guess, GFL and Harder's, the two competitors here. Like I mentioned, the two municipalities that use GFL, us in the town of Waupaca, make sure I say my town and cities right. Town of Waupaca is at $16.85 a month per household, and the city is at $16.35 per month, so very close. And then Harder's, which is in town of Farmington, is at $19.85 a month. So I guess what we boil down to is we think that this renewal agreement is the best value, kind of comparing what we had and what we could potentially have with looking at some of our competitors, or I shouldn't say our competitors, the competitors of GFL in some of the municipalities that are around us. So.
Okay. Questions? Scott?
Just give us a quick synopsis of why we should go with 10 years and not 5 or less, just to refresh our memories.
Yep, so the refresher on that was there was an option to do either a 5 or a 10-year renewal. The 10-year, it is a 3% fixed increase every single year. So given, the trends with the economy and everything that's out there, we feel 3% is a pretty solid number, not knowing what could come forward. And if we are able to plan for that for 10 years, as far as city budgeting and controlling costs for our residents, we feel like that's the best case scenario. We've talked with the fuel, like we don't know what could happen in 5 years. Well, at least with this, we know it's going to be this steady incremental increase versus maybe a jump, maybe a dip.
And don't forget, and Justin mentioned this, we do have an opt-out at any time if we feel like it's not working for us. Okay. Anybody else? Henry, go ahead.
Do we have to, do a letter of, interest to renew at, say, 5 years, or it's a 10-year deal?
It's 10-year.
Gotcha. Well, and again, the fuel surcharge, it has to hit 4 before the surcharge kicks in, right?
It has to average over 4 for 3 months.
Yeah, so.
That's diesel, right?
That's diesel, not
We're already
unleaded.
talking $5.
So-
now.
That's
Yeah.
already there.
But if inflation doesn't exceed, 3%, logic will tell you that probably fuel prices are lower anyway, so we might not get gigged on the fuel surcharge. 3%'s a pretty low.
Dave, you had something?
Well, you commented we have an out. Our out, what I heard is not doing their job,
Right.
not because of a price raise. That's the out, do you understand? Right? We can't just opt out because prices boomed, or,
I would argue that we could.
okay, well,
Yeah,
to clarify.
yeah. I get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? We need a motion to approve this.
Move to approve?
Motion by Martin,
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
second by Nagel, that we approve of the GFL citywide refuse and recycling collection service meeting for a 10-year period. Any further discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, next up, we have new business, request from Mike Stroik for H.H. Hinder Brewing Company to expand his outdoor service area for Hinderfest Festival on Saturday, September 12th, 2026, from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And Mike has sat through this whole thing, so, Mike, you want to make some comments about this? It's basically the same as last year, I'm guessing.
Yes. The only thing we may do, because it's gotten so popular, is if the weather is bad, we may add a tent out in the front parking lot, which, if the weather's good, we don't want to. But we do the keg tapping and then the mug competition, and those are both a little messy. So it's nicer to have them outside. So I'm hoping the weather's good and we don't need that. Otherwise, it'd be the same setup as last year.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Anybody want to know how you get front row seating or anything like that? Yeah.
Come on down.
Yeah, we need a motion to approve if you're okay with that.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dykstra,
Second.
second by Perchatsky, that we approve of the request from H.H. Hinder for their Hinderfest on September 12th, 2026. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. No? Motion carried. Mike, good luck to you.
Thank you all.
Business Center usage policy, this is Laura.
Thanks, Mayor. You can find my memo on page 129 and the policy on page 130 and the subsequent pages. So essentially what staff have done is we've looked at the various spaces, our hours that we have requested to be open, the fees, and your basic liability, conduct, security, refund policies. And we've really tried to make sure that they are in collaboration with what the library and the rec center already does, so we're not reinventing the wheel. And that is what you then see on page 30. There isn't anything too new on here for you that you haven't seen or heard before. We are sharing the same printing prices as the library, again, to have that continuity across the two departments. Refund policy is just like our rec center, so we just wanted to make sure things were crystal clear for the business center and outline how you can access those various spaces.
All right, any questions? Looking for a motion to approve this policy.
Move to approve.
Motion by Martin,
Second.
second by Dykstra, sorry, that we approve the business center usage policy. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. One more here for you, Laura.
Yeah.
It's business center employee job descriptions.
Thanks, Mayor. And I apologize on the memo itself on page 133. The RE is supposed to say the employee job description, not business center usage policy. You can tell I cut and paste from the business center usage policy. All right, so as we, again, enter into this new facility, we thought it would be valuable to have a specific job description for this. In fact, this job description was put together about 6 or so months ago because we were looking at developing an intern with the school district of Waupaca, but they have sort of changed how they do their interns through the school district. So we've adapted this to be our employee job description. This will help to articulate what the expectations are for those staff members working on the weekends when we're not open. And again, part-time employee, non-exempt, and just your basic expectations, welcoming and greeting. We ask that they dress professionally and basic assistance with questions and light tech work.
All right. Any questions, comments there? Again, we're looking for a motion to approve this job description.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Dykstra, that we approve the business center employee job descriptions. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Back to Josh here. Enter into a new 3-year agreement with Spectrum for fiber internet service.
Our current contract we have with Spectrum for our fiber internet service expires next month. At present, we're paying $2,599 per month for 2 gig service and then 3 class CIP blocks. Knowing that this agreement was coming up this year, Ralph Durant and I virtually met with a couple different vendors. We looked at what some other options are out there. There are only 2 companies that natively feed fiber into this building, and that's Spectrum and AT&T. There are some third-party resellers, some companies that will lease those lines and provide their service. And we just want to take a fresh look what was out there, what options there were. And after compiling all that, Spectrum continues to remain the most favorable as far as price goes. We've been with them for over a decade, and everything has gone well with that. So based on the price and our experience with them, we're seeing no reason to consider deviating from that. Staying at the same service level, we're going from that $25.99 a month if we enter into a 3-year agreement to $14.10 a month. So there's some nice cost savings that's going to save us nearly $1,200 a month, or about $14,000 per year by entering into this new agreement. The other options to remain in a month-by-month arrangement, and that wouldn't provide any cost savings to us. And the nice thing about working with Spectrum in the past, if we needed to change the service, such as upgrading our speed or adding more IP blocks, they've always been very willing to do that, and we just do a new agreement that replaces the current one. So we've got that flexibility as well.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Corey.
How did we get $1,000 less a month? I mean, what?
Pricing changes a lot on internet.
Right.
When we first went with them about a decade ago, we were getting 80 meg for $2,000 a month, and now we're up to 2 gig for $2,600, and now it's going down to $1,410. It's just their pricing. They, just like we upgrade and offer our customers more speed, they upgrade their systems over time, and it's just the nature of internet. I'm not complaining about it.
No, I'm not either. I'm just
It's not really a surprise to me that it's changed that much. It's just how internet pricing goes year over year.
Of the 2 gigs, how much capacity of that are we using right now?
Our peak usage is from residential customers between about 7 and 11 p.m. And right now I'd say we're maxing out 1.2, 1.3 gig during that time frame in the evening. And that's not like a constant where it's there the whole time. It's just peaks up and down. So I'd say 1 to about 1.3 gig during that time.
So there's really no need to look at any additional
No.
at this time.
Nope. And like I said earlier, if a year from now we're sitting here going, hey, we're close to that, then I just go back to Spectrum. Hey, can we redo this for a 5 gig deal?
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else? Go ahead, Eric.
Not to be silly either, have you ever looked at doing their mobile cell service and bundling everything together?
I don't know if they do that for
I
an
don't know if they
enterprise
do either.
customer like that.
Just a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Anybody else?
Motion to approve entering into a new 3-year agreement with Spectrum for internet service.
Second.
Motion by Dykstra, second by Olson, that we enter into this agreement with Spectrum. Any discussion? More discussion? Barb will call the roll.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, Josh, you're up again here. So.
All right, the second one, we got some good news. thanks to some hard work from Greg, we secured another cybersecurity grant. We previously had one 2 years ago, and this time this new grant is to cover things such as a penetration test, DNS web filtering, and then we're also going to use it for some cybersecurity educational services that we'll be rolling out to staff to kind of help keep people more alert on all the things that are happening. So the grant's been awarded in the amount of $25,754.39. The largest aspect of that would be going to a penetration test. The city has never done a penetration test in the past, and that is a good way to test your network to find out about vulnerabilities and other things that a hacker may find, and it would give us a good baseline to make adjustments, changes, to get our systems more secure. And it's proposed to do both an internal penetration test within our network and one from outside the network. Just in the time I had to get things together for the grant application, I reached out to two different parties to try to get some pricing. One of those was our cyber security insurance company, and that's not a service they offer, and they didn't really have recommendations where to go, but if they did, I thought they would have been good to work with. And then we also work with the Center for Internet Security for some of our cyber security services, and that's kind of a federal, I don't know if I want to say agency, but they're loosely related to the federal government. They do a lot of services for state and local governments as far as cybersecurity goes, and they do offer that service, and that's who I was able to get pricing from at that time. Obviously, this is something in excess of $10,000 for the penetration testing, and typically we'd get 3 quotes for that. Just due to the timing to get the grant application together, weren't able to get there, and the other thought behind that is we want to work with a company that we're used to working with because we're giving them some sensitive access to our systems to pull something like this off. So I'm proposing that we work with the Centers for Internet Security for a penetration test. I'm looking in the amount of $19,025. And like I said earlier, the Center for Internet Security is very familiar with working with U.S., state, and local government units, and I feel they can do a more thorough job on the complexities that we have with our network. The penetration test is a one-time expense, and it is fully funded by the grant.
Nice. Any questions? Go ahead.
Is this kind of test something you should do frequently, or is this like good for a while? How does that penetration test? Is that?
It's my first time going through one, so it's going to be a little bit of an education experience for me. I think this is something that periodically you would want to do. I don't know if annually or biannually is the right answer. I'm going to learn a lot more going through it. What I've learned researching them is they're not inexpensive, and I was kind of hoping the cyber insurance company would say, "Oh yeah, we can do that." Nope, they at least the one we're with now doesn't provide that.
We'll find out then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who awarded us the grant?
Was it emergency management? Yeah.
I just couldn't find it in the.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Maybe it's there, but I just couldn't find it.
Yeah, Greg's the expert on working with them.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice job. Any other questions? We need a motion then to approve this.
I'll give a
Move to
question.
approve.
Motion by Hagan.
Second.
Second by Veliker, that we enter into network penetration testing from the Center for Internet Security. Go ahead, Colin.
This pen test is to sort of identify problems before somebody else identifies them, as I understand it. If somebody else does identify a problem, like we don't do this, what does that typically cost the community? Do you have any idea? If there's a cybersecurity breach, do you have any idea what a
It
typical?
depends on what actually happens. Is it minor? Is it major? Does it shut all of our systems down?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it could be.
Would you say it'd be a factor of 10,000, 100,000, a million?
Hard to answer without knowing the exact situation, but I mean, you hear about some cities and other organizations where everything's taken down. We've seen that in our community with the county and school with what they went through. So things like this that we can do will hopefully help me do a better job on protecting our systems. And
Okay, thanks.
I mean, I think
I was-
I think it's money. It's not a cheap thing to do, but I think thanks to the grant, it's money well spent to help us out.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I think the potential cost we're avoiding by trying to find this out is much greater than the cost we're incurring. So thank you.
Probably helps us with any kind of insurance claim we might try to, if we do get a breach, right? I mean, the fact that we went through this testing,
And hopefully implement everything they find.
which might have a cost to it.
We'll see. We'll see. Like first time for learning experience here.
Thanks for finding this.
Ready to vote? Barbara, call the roll.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Burchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Eric Helverson,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, next up, we have Waupaca Fire District Lease Agreement update. Justin.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Starting on page 145, so we have an agreement with the Waupaca Area Fire District to lease the property in the building where it currently is right now. That agreement is auto-renewing. However, with one of our recent audits, it was flagged as like, hey, you probably should just get this updated. So this is pretty much just some minor tweaks. The big things that are in here are kind of just laid out. Not even big things, but just a lot of the details are laid out in this table here. So we had adjust the address. We just addressed the terms. Kind of the bigger one would be the lease rate. So at one point it was $1.75 a square foot. And then that went down to $1, and that had to deal with like a loan that was given to the fire district, and they had to pay it off with that extra 75 cents. Well, we're just changing that to be a flat 125 starting, well, actually this year, and we would just move forward with that into future years. So really, like I said, we just kind of cleaned it up, made it a little bit more modern. Oh, one other key change is the utilities. So the internet service, we've been providing the fire district with Waupaca Online internet service. We added that in there to just clean that up. So the maintenance responsibilities, fire district does upkeep their own things, or the equipment and the building. Insurance requirements are all the same. And so largely it is just kind of a cleanup and modernizing of the agreement. So current agreement, as you can see, is up on the screen, has that older text with the wording that I quickly detailed through, and then updating to today's wording and text, and then, like I said, updating some of those terms with the payment per square foot, the utilities, and then dates, names, and away we go. So.
Thanks, Justin. Just to remind everybody that our fire department is part of a fire district, which includes the city of Waupaca and the 4 surrounding townships. The city owns the fire garage, and so then the district pays rent to the city for the use of that property. And as Justin said, they are responsible for. The district is responsible for all repairs, which would include the roof, painting, things like that they're working on right now. So it's like a triple net lease, if you understand what those are, very similar to that. Okay, any questions? All right, we're just trying to update here. So we need a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second?
Who said the motion? Oh. Burchatsky, second by Martin, that we approve of the Waupaca District lease agreement between the city of Waupaca and the Waupaca Area Fire District. Discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Eric Helverson,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Burchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, next up, this is coming from City Planning Commission, but Justin's gonna help us with that. This is a certified survey map on 8th Street.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So this starts on 154 of the packet, and I'll just scroll right down to the certified survey map. So this is on A Street. There was a house that was demolished in 2009. That property was recently purchased by the applicant, and then requested to split that those or the one lot into two. So it is an existing R1 zoning, and then the two new lots will continue to be R1. The Plan Commission reviewed that. The lots meet the zoning minimums. Feel like a single-family home can still fit on there within our zoning code. There is utilities that are there for one lot, so in order for a second house to go in, new water and sewer would have to be extended, just the laterals into the lot for a second home. So again, this is just something that Plan Commission reviewed, approved, and it meets all of our zoning codes.
Okay, so they're just looking to split this one lot into two lots so that they could put two homes on that vacant lot. Any questions? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Nagel, second by Peterson, that we approve the certified survey map to split the 923 8th Street into two separate lots. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Still going. Resolution number 1593. Justin.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So on 158 of the packet, again, this was at Plan Commission. This resolution reaffirms the city's existing housing elements, basically without changes. Changes to what? That is the housing section within our comp plan. So which is in here in the packet. Plan Commission did look at this actually in two different meetings. So one, open it up to discussion and review, and then the second meeting, further discussion, but then also approve. And basically, the approval with no changes means what's in the comp plan right now is still tracking what we are seeing in real life and what we expect to see in the future. Why this is important is because adopting this plan or adopting the resolution keeps our planning documents current. You know, we have to make sure they don't gather dust. It supports housing development efforts and any other, developments in residential areas in our area. A big key thing on this is if there is an application by a developer for a grant application or a loan application, a lot of those programs will review our comp plan. It is published, it's out there. WIDA is one such of those programs, and this actually was a recommendation from WIDA that not just the city of Waupaca, but just to everyone of make sure your comp plans are current because we do look at that. So, so basically it's just a review, a renew, and then just helping to hopefully support future residential development.
Okay, any questions? We need a motion then to approve resolution number 1593.
Move to approve.
Motion by Olson,
Second.
second by Veliker, that we approve resolution number 1593. Any discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Eric Helverson,
Aye.
Corey Nagel,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Before we go on, I believe I made a mistake on doing just a voice vote, so let's go back to number 7. That was a certified survey map. That should have been a roll call vote, and I think I just did a voice vote. So you did approve it by voice, but we're looking to approve the certified survey map for 928th Street. So we had a motion and a second. We're just gonna have Barb take roll on that.
That's right. All right. Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you for that. Thanks, Bart. Do you need that? Next up is the hotel feasibility study agreement. Justin.
All right, starting on 182. So hotel feasibility study agreement. So what is this? So this started a number of years ago with Aaron Jensen and Jared Kivla. A number of years ago, started looking into the housing stock similar to the comp plan, and this came up within their networks that indicated, hey, this might be a good thing for the city of Waupaca. So attached on this is a proposal to do such a hotel study. And basically what it does is it evaluates basically our hotel or motel inventory within the city, but then also in the general area. It goes through and assesses if our current lodging demand is being met, what our future lodging demand might be. Takes in account all the local attractions, the events, everything that's driven by tourism or just people visiting, and then compares like basically our market to those surrounding us, both kind of locally, say inside the county, and then just kind of a little further out. And then it comes up with a recommendation and determines if we can support additional hotel or motel in our area. Obviously, having more development would be great. Having the ability to house more people coming to bigger events is also a benefit. And then the room tax dollars would also be an improvement to the city. So this has been something that's been kind of discussed, reviewed, and it just never got across the goal line. One of the reasons is just trying to find a way to, fund or pay for this report. It is in here as a $15,000 report. The company in their background is in the proposal. But what has recently happened was the mayor attended Waupaca County Economic Development Corporation meeting, and in that one of the meetings he attended, they said, hey, these are something that the Waupaca County Economic Development Corporation would start supporting. So we knew we had this sitting aside, so we brought it forward. Greg submitted an application for the grant. It went to their meeting, and they decided to support it at 50%. So half of this $15,000 or $7,500 would be supported through a grant. The remainder, so since we got that, Greg and I were looking at, well, where else do we have to come up with this? In community development, we have a professional services line item that is budgeted every year, or currently at the year, for $14,000. To date, $5,000 has been spent out of that, so which means we have about $9,000 remaining. So we'd like to initiate this study with support from Waupaca County, paying for half of it, and our professional services line item out of community development covering the rest.
Perfect. All right. Any questions? Go ahead.
I have to say this, that it says hotel and motel, but the short-term rental, such as Airbnb and Vrbo, are not insignificant now in Waupaca. So that should be something I would think that would be at least considered as an addition to the housing or the hotel motel stock.
Can you clarify, what do you mean considered? Like they will review that stock, or will they make a recommendation to support
Well,
that stock?
you're looking strictly at hotel motel, the amount of rooms, but you should also be considering the short-term rental stock in the city to add to that amount. At least in my opinion.
Sure. And I don't remember reading through that or perusing through that, if that's part of what they're doing, but
They're just saying hotel and motel is what they're focusing on. They're completely ignoring any short-term rental units that might be in the city. I know of at least one.
Well, Paul, there is a mention of, where did I just read that? Lodging supply overview. I don't know if that could just be clarified and, to assess what that is. I don't know how you could look at lodging supply overview and not look at Airbnb, but it doesn't say it specifically, does it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not asking for anything in particular other than mentioning it.
Right, I get it. We have had some interest in some investments in hotel in our community, as other communities have in the county too, and that's the impetus for this research.
So to that comment, I was going to ask, what are we doing with this information? Because if it comes back to say you don't have enough rooms, okay, that's fine. You still need somebody to invest and build this. So when somebody is saying, I would like to invest, but I need information from us, the municipality, is this the information they're looking for that we don't have?
Yeah, do you want to explain that, how it was explained to us?
Yeah. So basically, a new hotel that has like a corporate name to it is not going to come here and do their research. Not going to just break ground without knowing the background. So that's what this is providing. This is going to gather all the data, and if the recommendation is you have capacity, the recommendation is also going to call out how many, what size, what kind of price point, and we'll be able to use that and turn around and give it to these potential franchises, commercial realtors that are looking for, to push properties. Like this would be basically the carrot that we would dangle to help kind of spur a hotel type of development.
I guess I'm just surprised that they don't do that on their own. I mean, I've heard a lot of comments about like an, AutoZone. Well, we didn't provide them any information on who needs car parts. So I guess this industry just works a little different.
From what I understand, I guess so. And if we want to attract one, basically from reading over Aaron's and Jared's notes and having conversations with them, like if we want to attract a new one, this is the way to do it.
Well, I mean, to your point about the AutoZone didn't request us to do anything either. So, yeah. Okay, any other comments? Go ahead.
I just would, and if a developer was looking to come in here and they were looking to get financing, any entity that would be financing them would probably want this information anyways, so it would be useful.
Yeah, thanks, yep. Makes sense, go ahead, Colin.
The group core distinction says that they can, or maybe they include a marketing piece with their studies. Was there discussion about them marketing or providing us with marketing materials related to this information? Or does it just stop at the evaluation of whether or not we have the...
That is included in there. So the recommendation will have, it'll be a verbal or a written, like this is what should happen. And then there'll be additional, I guess you could say, pamphlets or flyers or just things to help put out there or just to share with these groups that could potentially look at our community.
Okay, so it's something we can use not just for anybody who's interested now, but for creating interest in having another motel and a hotel in our area. Okay, so there's value just beyond supporting somebody who may or may not be interested right now in doing a hotel. There's value to supplying that information to anybody who's looking to invest in a hotel property and market Waupaca as a place that needs one.
Correct. Yep.
From my perspective, relative to my involvement with WEHA, we're one of the groups that get that bring people to the city in off season, and it's very interesting to hear our our players and their parents go to neighboring communities because there isn't hotels available here. So I think it's a valuable piece of information for us to be able to have this and be able to market with some third party documenting this in a very clear way that we really need another, well, there could be, I can't say if we need or not. Feels like it when we have a hockey tournament, but to have something to back it up, I think is valuable. So thanks for finding out about this.
What is the timetable that they would get this back to us? I didn't see anything in there about that.
Overall, it's going to be less than a year. We'd like to get this thing kicked off as soon as possible and have it back to us before next spring. So I would say it's going to take 3 to 6 months, depending on, I guess, what they find, what they have to analyze. There's information in this. We need to provide them a bunch of information, such as like our events, what we currently have of our attractions. So we need to get that churned out and turned over to them. So.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? We need a motion. Yeah, go ahead.
This only gonna be a quantity study, or will it also do a quality, so a 1-star to a 5-star is what we would need in the area, or is it just gonna be the number of rooms available?
Yep. So that's a very good question, and yes, it is both. So what is not in here is they gave an example of another study they did. It was 150 pages long. So we decided not, right? Was it?
Yeah, that was a lot.
So we decided not to throw the example in there. It was of another community. But yeah, so it was 150 pages long, and it did call out the rating, like a star rating of what was already in that current area and what would be the demand for. So yes, it is also, it's quantity plus quality they'd be calling out.
Okay. Again, I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Martin. Who's second? I'm sorry. You? Eric? Yeah, Halverson, second by Halverson, to approve this hotel feasibility study agreement. Any more discussion? Barbara, call the roll.
Oh, I'll give you one. Mr. Mayor, thank you for reaching out to the WCEDC to find funding for this.
Yeah, it was, we were there at the right time, for sure. Sure. Go ahead.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Eric Halverson,
Aye.
Henry Veliker,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Eric Olson,
Aye.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thanks, Justin. Next up, we have under number 10, this is license report number 1767. This is operator or bartender's license. We have 2 individuals on there. We just need a motion to approve this license report.
Motion to approve license report number 1767.
Motion by Dykstra, second by Peterson, that we approve the license report number 1767. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. How about the next, the rest of the agenda? Closed session. All right, on the screen, and of course, council, you've seen this. Anybody that's watching this or in the audience tonight, we do have a closed session that we're going to go into. I'll just read this so you understand what that closed session is about. Motion to convene into closed session in accordance with Wisconsin State Statutes 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, more specifically, the hiring of a city administrator. So once we go into closed session, the only thing that we're going to be talking about is hiring a city administrator and their compensation for that. There will not be any other discussion on anything else but that. Once we come out of closed session, we have a couple of items that are left on our regular agenda. Under our regular agenda, we have to approve whatever action we made in closed session. We'll have communications and recommendations of the mayor. We'll adjourn this meeting, and then we're going to go to a committee of the whole meeting. Committee of the whole meeting just means that it's for informational purposes only. We get the information. We're not looking for motions, seconds. We can't act on anything. We just listen. And that just has to do with, we're starting our budget process for 2027, and it's our first workshop for the year, and that will have to do with capital improvement plans. So if you thought anything else was happening at our meeting tonight, it was never on the agenda, and it's not on the agenda for the rest of the night. Once we go into closed session, everyone except for the parties that are participating in it will be asked to leave, and the doors will be shut. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to go into closed session.
So moved. Closed session.
Second?
Motion by Peterson, second by Martin, that we convene into closed session. Any discussion? Barb will call the roll.
Dave Peterson. Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Eric Olson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo. Paul Hagan. Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
Eric Halverson.
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky. Henry Veliker.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, we are back in reconvened into open session. We had a discussion about the hiring of a city administrator. In that discussion, me as the mayor have recommended Laura Colbert as our new city administrator. So I would be looking for a motion to approve council approving my recommendation. Do I have a
Motion to approve Mayor Smith's recommendation to appoint Laura Colbert as our city administrator.
Second.
We have a motion by Dykstra, a second by, who was it? Perchatsky, that we approve the hiring of Laura Colbert. For the public and for all of us here tonight, it does take, there are 10 in attendance, council members in attendance, so it does take a 2/3 majority to approve that, so that would be at least 7 in the affirmative. And then when we're done, then, I could say it now, I will vote aye on my own, okay? My one vote, and then Laura will take the roll call for the 10 council members. Barb, who did I say?
Laura.
Oh, my. Yeah.
Well, I just want to clarify, per the terms of the employment agreement that Laura has signed.
Okay. That's
That's
part
what
of the
we're
motion.
voting on, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Barb and Laura. Barb will call the roll.
Paul Hagan. Eric Olson.
Aye.
Colin Dykstra.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Eric Halverson.
Aye.
Henry Veliker.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Corey Nagel.
Nay.
9 ayes, motion carried.
All right. Laura, congratulations. It officially takes, since we're back in public, I want to make sure everybody understands. So Justin will still be our city administrator through the end of the month. Laura then will take over on September 1st, which happens to be our first city council meeting in September, which is also on September 1st. All right, so she'll continue as our Parks and Rec director until then. Just want to remind the public too that we will need to hire a new Parks and Rec director, and probably tomorrow we'll open it up to internal candidates and then go from there on where we think we need to go next with that. All right? Let's try and finish out the rest of the regular city council meeting. Then, the only communication and recommendation of the mayor I have is that don't get up and leave here. We have our capital improvement workshop that will be after this, and then our next workshop is going to be dealing with TIFs and transit, which will be in September. So we need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Hagan, second by Olson, that we adjourn our regular city council meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no.
Sucks to be down there.
Motion carried. We are adjourned at 8:08 from our regular scheduled city council meeting. If you haven't already, the committee of the whole meeting is a separate file on the city's website, so, it's not in with your packet of the city council meeting. So you have to open up your committee of the whole. It says committee of the whole, and it's up here. Everything that you're gonna need will be on the screen here, so we should be good. All right, I'll call this committee of the whole meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. It is 8:08 p.m. You have an agenda in front of you, which is our first workshop, which is our capital improvement plan development. So I would need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Dykstra, that we approve the agenda. You just took roll call, right? All right. All right, so Greg has been working hard with department heads to put together a capital improvement plan for our 27, 28, actually, and he'll explain why it says 27, 28 to you. That has been presented to department heads. It's also been presented to myself, and he'll explain more about all the process that we went through. So I'm just going to turn it right over to Greg.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. So if you look at, what is it, page 3 of the packet, you'll start with my memo here. As a reminder, the purpose of the evening is to present our draft plan and have plenty of opportunities for you to ask questions of it. Final action on the capital improvement plan and associated financing will occur as part of the adoption of the final budget in November. What we are presenting to you tonight is a combined 2-year GO borrowing of $4,418,547 to fund the projects recommended in the 27 to 28 CIP, which is also in the packet. The recommendation is structured to achieve 4 primary objectives: fund projects necessary to maintain essential services related to our infrastructure, equipment, facilities, and services, maintain our borrowing within both state statute of 5% of equalized value and our city's more conservative debt policy of 3.75%, maintain substantially the same debt service levy trajectory presented to council in the city's 2025 financial management plan, which modeled a sub-inflationary around 1.75% increase in the debt service levy each year through around 2032, which is when which is being subsidized by our debt service fund. Preserve sufficient borrowing capacity to provide financial flexibility well into the future. I believe, along with conversations with Baird and our auditors and our department heads and mayor, that this recommendation achieves all of those priorities. If we look at the next page, you will see more on these. So our, let's see, more detail on all of those 4 objectives. First, you will see that our borrow remains well within both our statutory debt limit and our more conservative limit established by city policy. It also keeps our 2027 tax-exempt borrow under $10 million, which is required to maintain our small issuer designation under Section 265B3 of the Internal Revenue Code. That's important to provide premium interest rates for our bondholders. And we preserve about $10 million of debt capacity remaining after this $4.4 million borrow. Further down, you'll see some of the changes in our equalized valuation that are driving this recommendation. So as you've heard, there's a statutory debt limit where the city's ability to borrow is limited to no more than 5% of equalized value. The city has its own more conservative policy of 3.75%. Between 25 and 26, the DOR reports that our equalized value increased by 8%, which is higher than expected. We were modeling in our 2025 financial plan an increase of around 2 to 3%. So that's good news. Our equalized value increased from $699,958,600 to $759 million. And so we will have ample borrowing capacity remaining after this. And that's modeled even more further down in the packet, and we can go into that later. One of the things that I also want to reiterate is that debt capacity is only one measure of our financial capacity. Even though we have the legal capacity to issue debt, doesn't establish the fact that borrowing is appropriate. We also want to consider the impact to taxpayers. As you may recall, in our 2025 financial management plan, we had been modeling a $4 million borrow for 27 to 28. Which would have produced an annual growth in the debt service levy of approximately 1.75% annually. After working with Baird, we managed to increase this recommendation to $4.4 million while maintaining around that same annual debt service levy increase of 1.75% by adjusting the amortization schedule of some of the larger projects in the CIP, the Fulton Street project and the pedestrian bridge, to go from 10 years to 15 years and 20 years respectively, which matches their expected useful lives. So that debt is structured around the useful life of the project, not just an arbitrary 10-year schedule. By increasing the amortization schedule, the annual payments remain very similar to as they would have been if they were $4 million. This also assumes that in the future, after 29, we'll be borrowing $2 million every other year. We do know that, in 10 years plus, there may be other larger projects that we can't anticipate that are outside of the scope of the CIP presented tonight. But we are preserving quite a lot of financial flexibility with this borrow. And then the other thing I'd like to highlight is that this borrow is perhaps larger than you've seen in recent borrows. But there are a couple of reasons for that. In previous years, we had been pushing up against our 3.75% statutory debt limit. As a result of that, it's led to deferred maintenance of facilities, which you can only defer things for so long before they start to break down. And so the CIP request addresses those deferred items. It also is large because we were doing a lot of large things in the next 2 years. Fulton Street and the pedestrian bridge are a major part of this $4.4 million borrow. Also, in this $4.4 million borrow, is $150,000 for Royalton Street trail extension. This is news that's exciting to share with you. We were just awarded another transportation alternatives grant for that project. So that is another $150,000 local match to unlock $613,000 in state funds. So that's also included in this. So although we have a lot of major projects here, we are able to use this levy to unlock more than $3.8 million in grant funding. So we're spending we're spending $4.4 million, and we're receiving $7.33 million in capital improvements. So in conclusion, we are recommending proceeding with this $4.4 million 2-year borrow. The reason why we are doing a 2-year borrow instead of a 1-year borrow is actually a sign of our financial strength. R.W. Baird recommends for their clients with high credit ratings to do a 2-year borrow rather than a 1-year borrow for a couple of different reasons. One is that it secures our strong credit rating and locks that in for the life of the debt. And the other being that it reduces our annual issuance costs. Every year we go out to borrow, it's about $50,000 in issuance just to do the borrow. And so this way we're able to keep our cost of borrowing lower while maintaining our strong credit rating, which of course gives us a lower interest rate. And as we're in a environment of a lot of macroeconomic uncertainty, it's good to know what our interest rate will be and know that it'll be locked behind our strong credit rating, then kind of gamble on the future. I also want to reiterate that these numbers could change modestly between now and November as we continue to lock in with our engineers and architects some of the opinions of probable cause for major projects like the pedestrian bridge and Fulton Street, but it should be in the neighborhood of $4.4 million. Next, I will turn it over to department heads and ask them to share their capital requests and give you a little information, unless there are any questions you have for me right now.
You know what, Greg, I know you have this all, and we talked about this earlier, but can you just go to page 8 before we turn it over to the department heads and just explain that graph?
Yeah, absolutely. So this graph is our percent of capacity utilized. You might recall I was talking about our debt ceiling being determined by both by state statute and then our own debt policy of 3.75% equalized valuation. So here you will see this is based on a 3.75% capacity utilized. So currently in 2026, we're utilizing about 55% of our total debt capacity. In 27 there, you'll see the impact of this borrow. So our utilized capacity will grow from 55% to 65%, meaning that we are using, meaning that we have $10 million in remaining capacity even after this $4.4 million borrow. We will continue to be around 50 to 60% until 2032. That's when we pay off one of our major general obligation notes. And then with a 2% or $2 million borrow every year after in 29, we continue to unlock even more capacity. But I think that this demonstrates that we have very adequate capacity to address unanticipated financial projects or needs if projects were to arise. Are there any other questions about this table here? All right, hearing none.
I'll have a question. That
yes.
You had mentioned that, if I caught this correctly, that, and I couldn't catch why, that the amount of debt amortized for the Fulton Street and Ped Bridge was extended from 10 years to another amount that related to the life of the two projects.
Yes.
Could you say again what was the reasoning to do that?
Yeah, actually, Mayor, if you want to go up to the page just prior to this. Or Justin, sorry. This one right here. So it's a little hard to read because there's a lot going on here, but you'll see that there's the $4.4 million CIP levy supported table there, and to the side there's it kind of breaks that down by 10-year projects, 15-year projects, and 20-year projects. So those are our annual interest and principal payments for these notes. The advantage of taking some of those larger projects like that, you see $2.465 million and $675 separately on a 15-year and 20-year project schedule or payment schedule respectively. That's our Fulton Street and Ped Bridge project. By extending those loans over a longer time, we're reducing our annual interest and principal payments such that we are not having taxpayers faced with a higher and unanticipated cost. So the debt service levy remains stable for a longer period of time, and it's still increasing around 1.75% annually. If we hadn't done that, the impact of the debt service levy would be greater because it would be condensing those payments over a shorter schedule. Does that answer your question, Colin?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thanks. Henry?
We're going to be hearing from the department heads, I'm sure. There's projects that probably didn't make this list, right, because you always have to prioritize. So I'm curious, as you guys talk about what's in this, I'd like to hear maybe what things you are deferring that if you could wave a wand, you'd like to be able to accomplish, or not.
I'm okay with if you do that, but let's just go through the plan, capital improvement plan, and then you want to ask that question afterwards?
Yeah, okay, because I don't know that we'll see the things that are not being funded.
Yeah, I think it's important, and Greg said this, and I want to make sure that everybody understands this, that we realize that probably for the last 6 to 8 years, we've been limited on the amount that we can borrow. So there have been projects that have been put off that staff feels, in this recommendation here, that we just no longer can put off. And we have the ability, and we plan for this larger borrow in this year, in 27, 28. I also asked, they do this anyways, but I also asked staff and Greg to put together, if you look on page 17, that's probably a good start. But so we're talking about a borrow that will have things in 27 and 28. That's what we'll be borrowing for. But I also wanted to make sure that staff did a good job of trying to predict what will be needed in 2029 and 2030. Now, obviously, that's a few years out, so they can't say exactly, but if you look at the bottom line of that, it does follow exactly what Greg had suggested, that although we have to borrow 4.4 this round, we'll be back down around that $2 million figure again in 2029. As we go through this, department heads are just gonna hit the high points. If you have more detailed questions, go ahead and ask them, but, and we're just gonna start right at the top with it looks like the airport, and Justin's gonna just take that, and then we'll move down.
Okay, so the first one on there is an extension of water and sewer. We have a lot of hangars that are being built, T hangars and private hangars, so there's the demand there to provide that utility. So that's what that project's about. Inside the terminal, the bathrooms are original. So Matt and Brittany were looking to put a little facelift on those and make them a little more modernized. Don't we just keep going? Cemetery more?
Well, I think Laura can handle it. Is that her department?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
This is just one of the 3 mowers that we typically replace on an every other year basis, and it needs to be replaced. As you know, the cemetery mows for 3 days in a row to get across cemetery, and then they start back over again. So it's a constant thing to mow the cemetery.
Okay, doesn't look like there's anything in the city clerk's office. City Hall Library, you can see out 3 years. They're talking about an elevator replacement, but that's not in this current borrow, so we won't touch on that.
Restrooms.
Eric, yeah, you want to just touch on the bathrooms, your thought there?
I shall do so very briefly. This is the multi-stall restrooms on the main floor and lower level. They see high levels of use. The fixtures and features are original to the facilities and are showing their years. Beyond their appearance, the function of a lot of the fixtures can be erratic. And while the restrooms do not violate ADA, they aren't convenient for folks with disabilities to use. So we've got the $50,000 in there for necessary improvements.
Okay. Going down to community development.
I can take that.
Yep, thanks.
So wayfinding is a plan that was put together several years ago. It looks like there's a lot of different funds coming from it because there is, with basically internal staff and Greg, there's a cost share with the Visitor Bureau, like they agreed to match, and then the Greenways Commission as well, and that's just, it's a regional wayfinding project, but that's the city share right there.
Okay, just looking at IT, this is every year, computer replacement.
Speak on that too.
Yeah, can you?
So that's just replacing old tech. As you know, technology fades fast, so to stay efficient and a nod to the cybersecurity that we heard about earlier tonight, that's just a regular rotation. I got you, Josh. And then the city servers is on the same vein, but we'll let the expert talk about it.
So yeah, Justin, kind of start out with our annual computer replacement. Computers are replaced on a 5-year cycle, and then the ones that are replaced get rotated into a second roll. So we typically get about 7 to 9 years out of each computer and laptop we purchase. We're looking at replacing our server that hosts all of our virtual servers for City Hall and the Police Department in 2028. Do you want just the next 2 years? Or you want me to talk about
Just
the stuff
just
beyond
those
it?
2
Just
years.
two.
Unless anybody has questions on that.
Okay.
2 years future.
And then the other thing that you'll notice new on here you haven't seen before is I've broken out the IT-related equipment that goes into the squad cars. In the past, we'd utilize some of the money that the police department would borrow for that, and just with the unexpected costs they've run into, it's been becoming increasingly difficult to fund the IT equipment. So each squad car has a tough pad tablet, a keyboard, docking station, a cellular modem, and thermal printer, and some of that stuff sees heavy use, heavy abuse in those cars. It's not always reusable, and we need to keep those computers on a current operating system and up to date so we don't jeopardize getting kicked off the law enforcement systems they have to use. So I've set some dedicated costs in here to coincide on their plans for the squad cars to make sure there's money there to do that, because their costs can be erratic depending upon what they have to put into a new squad car and what the current car costs are. So that's something broke out to make sure we're able to accomplish that. And that's what I've got in the next 2 years.
All right. Thank you, Josh. I think we're down to page
21.
What?
21.
21.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep.
Laura, I think that's you.
Yep, so the ball machine replacement, we've got 3 of these machines and they help groom the infield. And our master plan for the rec center says that we should replace it in 28, and then the next one in 35, and the next one in 40. So we want to try to keep that gap wide so that we don't overburden any one year by putting them too close together. And then I can go down to Brainerd's Bridge, shelter, and roof renovations. This was on the capital plan in 24 when it was a nice to have. Now it's really a need to have. Our shelter, and Brainerd's Bridge shelter, is really showing its wear and tear. And so Josh has already worked really hard to get some estimates and is very planful about how to go about re-roofing and fixing that shelter up. And Eco Park, we have in the last few years acquired $147,000. And so to have an adequate playground and bathroom and ADA compliant trails, our goal is to reach $325,000. So we're hoping to have the $178,000 GEO bond to close that gap. And then the Pullman Park replacement. This park has also really, really aged over the years. It's gotten to the point where some of the rubber surface is coming off and there's some metal exposed, so it's not the safest park right now. I did have an opportunity to talk to Mary Kay Pullman, and she is good with us continuing to keep this a park, but if we want to put just swings and a slide there, then we can get by with putting $20,000 in this park instead of what I had originally intended of about $50,000. And I can, Riverside's later, and so is Rotary Riverview. And then, do you want me to talk about the Schwen Lions Memorial? Because that's in 2028.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Greg and Justin and I have been working very closely together on the entire Ped Bridge project. And with this adaptation moving into the Veterans Memorial Park, we are looking at about $36,000 to upgrade to the memorial aspects. Plus, we are optimistic we will be able to collect about $64,000 for private donations to cover the memorial side of that Veterans Park and the Ped Bridge project.
Skipping down to 22, police building, we need to replace the motherboard and the elevator. So basically our elevators, you've seen a couple of them on there, they're long in the tooth, and the wholesale replacements are a big number, but when we can identify replacing one of the major components and be a little more cost effective, that's what we're doing with the elevator in the police department. Interview room cameras.
Yeah, that should be deleted. Then that somehow made the list and can come off.
That's an operating funds. Is that where you want it?
It does not need to be on capital. And then our
Squads
biggest
are on there next, Chief.
squads. So obviously that's our biggest expense as far as capital requests. We continue to have mechanical issues with our squads currently, and thankfully we've been able to rotate our squads through and maintain the manufacturer warranty. This past year we've had to replace 2 engines in our Tahoes. Thank God they've been within manufacturer warranties, so the cost, we didn't incur that cost. So maintaining that rotation, so we're within that manufacturer warranty as much as possible. There's still, excuse me, there still are a few squads that we have that we rotate down to positions that, like our SROs, school resource officers, they're not as used and abused as a patrol officer would use and abuse. I guess abuse is a bad word. However you want to describe that, the wear and tear on those squads is less for an SRO than it is with a patrol officer. So maintaining, we've been trying to rotate some of our squads that we feel can limp along a little bit longer into those positions that are not as intense on our vehicles, and then replacing the new squads, putting those into our patrol division where they're constantly being used and shared with other officers. So that's our biggest expense, 3 squads, and all the equipment to outfit them. A lot of our equipment we try to reuse. We get to a point of like 2 cycles with squads, and then things starts breaking, and it costs more to fix while it's already been installed than it is to just update the actual equipment ahead of time. So we try to get 2 cycles of light bars and et cetera in our squads before we actually physically replace that equipment. So.
I might suggest the phrase dynamic usage of squads.
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah.
Well articulated.
Your dad saw it too. Enterprise Corporation, I could get you some of the info. They lease vehicles to municipalities, police departments, sheriff departments, and they rotate them quite frequently. And then I don't know all the little details, but we're going with it with the county, and they're going to save a considerable amount of money over the course. And they're going with Tahoes, which is a more expensive vehicle, but in the end result, it was saving the county money. So I can see if I can get you some of that, and maybe you can touch base with them. I don't know how many vehicles you have, and if there's a parameter there, but it's just something to look into.
Yeah, definitely we can go down that path and explore
They'll be happy.
that.
They're out of Waupaca. The guy came up and gave a presentation. I'm sure he'd come up and touch base with you.
Sure.
If they're savings, they're savings, you know, but you gotta evaluate, but it's built for police and departments, sheriff departments that have heavy use, and they rotate the vehicles faster than we kind of wear them out, and then this is not the, because they
All right.
resell them.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. Thanks, Scott. All right, what's up next?
We have a scrubber at the rec center, and this was one of those that we had on the capital plan, I think back in '22. We keep pushing it back, and we got it held together with electrical tape and bubble gum at this point, so it's time. We have another elevator in the rec center. This one has a little bit more costly repair. We are spending, last year we spent over $18,000 just to fix this thing. So we have all these old parts in it that we're just trying to limp along, and we need like a wholesale replacement of the circuitry and electrical in that elevator, so which beats a wholesale replacement. Further down next page, Public Works has a truck to be replaced in '28. So we did have one truck that failed recently on us before we could put it in the replacement schedule, but this would be the truck that we're looking at in 2028. That is a truck 120. So is actually 120 was already on surplus and sold, so it's out of our fleet, and we need to look to replace it. Royalton Street Trail Extension was the one that Greg just mentioned. This is a new TAP grant support. TAP, right? Yes. Sorry. Support that with design starting in 2028, and that goes through the new River North neighborhood. So that lines up well with that development that's occurring out there. The big one that we all know about is Fulton Street. So that we're chipping in close to $2.5 million. With just the GO. WISDOT is just over $2 million with LRIP, and then of course with water and sewer utilities getting replaced underneath. Jefferson is the next street that's on our radar, Henry, so I guess that's kind of alludes to you, but that's outside of this borough, but just so you know and you hear about it at least now, that'll probably be the next one we talk about in a few years. The Ped Bridge is on there, of course, with the updated budget on there. You can see the WISDOT funding again, and then our share. And of course, we're looking at doing some fundraising for the veterans side of things. So. Royalton Street River North upgrade. We're working with the county on this one. This is widening Royalton Street from Industrial Drive to the roundabout. Right now, it's currently a 2-lane. We're going to make that a 3-lane with that center twiddle, much like we proposed with Fulton Street. Because we are anticipating and seeing more traffic out there with both the commercial industrial development and now the residential development. Seal coating roads is just a routine every other year where we want to make sure we're maintaining our roads. It's seal coating, so we have to do it. It preserves the life of our pavement, so we can chip in a little bit here and there to hopefully extend out these larger projects into the future. Wastewater side, our Bowley lift station, that's kind of weird. It's calling out reserve funds for $400,000. I think that's what we talked about earlier this year. That remains to be seen, but we do have that borrow somewhere in here with wastewater revenue funds, or revenue bonds, excuse me.
I wonder why. It probably says reserves because we've already borrowed them.
Because it's all funding sources for this particular report, so it's demonstrating that
it's pulling that in.
Right.
As we scroll down, we get into that skater radio upgrade. We still want to do that. We are now just switching that into an actual revenue bond project instead of reserves. So we should be able to forecast that out in our financials in a better way long term. Sludge mixing, so we have a sludge tank. I won't get into it, but it's thick stuff, and we need to mix it or else it can't be pumped out and hauled away. Cross-connection control is something we have to do annually, so that what you see in there is an annual contract with a company called HydroCorp that we recently renewed. We have to do that program per DNR regulations. Leak location is something we do prioritize every single year. We hire that out to try and find our leaks. Out in the street, they listen to the hydrants and valves and try to find those underneath the ground. Lead service line mega projects, so we are planning to try and replace all the lead service lines on both the public and the private side. So that is included in there, which mainly is the Safe Drinking Water Loan Fund. With that, we will not know the status of that until about October or November of this year. And with it, we'll understand if we're going to get some principal forgiveness and if we qualify for some ultra-low interest loans for both the private side and the public side. The initial funding has to be coming from the municipality. What is the word? Like not a dedication, but oh shoot, I should not have said anything. Basically a promissory yes, is what it is. We do have another pickup truck, this time in the water department. So now that we're back to 4, we have our oldest truck still in the fleet that we'd like to replace and get upgraded for our 4th water operator. Again, you'll see that skater radio upgrade because it's more than just one utility. It's both utilities. Water main replacements, you'll see these coincide with the road projects. So if you look to the right, you'll see more numbers, and that just lines up with our roadway project. So if we're going to rip up and replace the entire road bed, we have aligned our capital projects, both in utilities and the roads, to be efficient with our dollars. So if we have to do a wholesale replacement, we're going to do it all at once instead of just redoing pavement with 50-plus-year-old utilities underneath. So well 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are the wells we have to rehab. So that's that 10-year cycle. And as you can see, those are just coming up in the next 3 years to rehab those. We recently did 2 and 4, and we have updated our numbers to reflect what we have seen with the last rehab. I think that's it.
Yeah, and then the next report is just a different way of looking at the same information. So there's nothing new. It's just different formatting.
Okay. Anything else, Greg, you have?
There's nothing I have.
Okay. Questions? Corey, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate on this year's the capital improvement plan that there's some explanations for what some of these things are. 'Cause looking at it, you know, if I didn't have those, I wouldn't know what that meant. I guess the only thing, and I know I brought this up before, it's hard to know unless I printed this off today and then brought it to a city council meeting and checked off that we voted on when these things are actually happening. I get that we vote on them at some point. But I'll also just say, you know, looking back at the first time that I went through this in 2023, there's just some significant projects on here that I don't recall voting on that have just sort of disappeared or they've been deferred. And it's just hard to know, like I get why it's on there. Somebody has deemed it to be important. And I get that sometimes we have to defer things. But if it just disappears and it never happens, that's a little confusing. I can give you an example. So, and Matt's not here, but apparently back in 2023, in 2028, we are supposed to be, and this is just, it happens to be at the top, I'm not picking on the airport, we're supposed to be spending $2.7 million on runway reconstruction. But in this new 5-year thing, it's not on there at all in 2028. It's not on there at all. So I don't want to hone in on that one specific example. I'm just saying, like, how does it end up on there and then it's just gone entirely 4 to 5 years later?
Well, Paul, you might be able to explain. But
Yeah, it was part of our 5-year plan, and then I believe it was reconsidered to something different. Okay. So
Yes, that was a 5-year plan. It was the crosswind runway, and then that become ineligible for funding by the Bureau of Aeronautics, so then it got taken out of the capital plan.
So the plan is with the cross, that's the shorter,
The shorter.
yeah, not the 5,000-foot runway, it's the other runway, and it's on an angle there, and the idea is just to make it grass.
That was.
Right.
And I appreciate that explanation, it's just, I mean, that's a substantial number to just, poof, it's gone. Sounds like
Yeah.
a very interesting project, but
Can I ask a question?
Sometimes funding fall through or plans change, and that's one of them. For your example, that's the reason why.
Yeah, can I ask a question? Was it just the comment about the one project, or is it all the projects in general?
I would just say it's very hard to keep track from year to year what gets added. I get it, we vote on these things, so you check some of these things off, but it just seems like, I don't think we had this list last year because it was a 2-year borrow.
Right.
Is that
Right.
correct? So it's just hard to know when these things ever happen, if they do. And I'm not saying that there's anything nefarious going on or dishonest, it's just, I would like to have an understanding of how and where we're spending our money and what the long-term plan is, so that if somebody asks me, which that has come up in conversation, to say, well, it's in a 5-year plan, and then, now we're almost 5 years down the road from my first budget workshop with this, and then it's just gone, and I never heard about it. Now, I'm not saying that I need to be informed on every single project that is ever proposed. I'm just saying it's a little confusing in this setting and in this format.
I think, thank you for that comment. I think that one of the things that, I would be open to, assuming that you feel the same way, would be that I could see revisiting these plans. Like, let's say this is a 2-year plan. In 2 years, we basically take this and provide an update on what do these things actually cost and what do we accomplish. It would involve some capital expenditure tracking that we already do. It would just involve putting it together and formatting it in a way that we don't already do. I think it'd be achievable and would help address that question. I don't know, Mayor Justin, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for example, we could go back to, I got 2 comments on this. We could go back to the 25-26 borrow, and we will have the same thing, and we will be able to tell which projects have been completed or still need to be completed, like the Bovee lift station that was in that borrow. And we'd be able to report on that. And I think that's a valid point, Corey. I do also think, though, and my other comment is, we show 5 years on here, but anything that's out past the 2 years is gonna change, And so we can't, if you see something that's in 2029 for $5 million, that doesn't mean that we're committed to doing that project until we get to that time frame where we're gonna borrow. 5 million was a bad example, because we're only looking at 2 million borrow. But I do think, in retrospect, we could do exactly what Greg and you have asked, and Greg has recommended. And I think that we could do it this year, maybe just at a city council meeting, but at future capital improvement plan workshops, we could just go through what we've done the 2 years before. I think that's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Mayor, at our last meeting, you talked about, we got our audit presented, and we're above our target of 25% in our fund balance. Have you talked with the department heads? We never quite know what projects cost, right? They creep. So it seems to me to have a little cushion that we might be able to rely on. But, like with seal coating, could we double that number? Or maybe aldermen have another idea, but I know you kind of left it out that we might have to discuss what we want to do with that. And it seems to me that capital is the best one-time expenses if we're gonna draw down that fund balance, and what would that look like? Where would we put it? Or maybe council doesn't wanna touch it, but, you know, $20,000 of seal coating doesn't go very far, or whatever that number was, 30.
30.
You know, so I don't know when that's appropriate to talk about that, but, you know, it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? And it talks to the stewardship of the staff and the council that we're at this point, but maybe there's a one-off way to draw this money down a little bit and get something accomplished, more accomplished than we have on our plan right now.
Yeah, that's a great comment too. Actually, at our development review team meetings, it's one of those things where you put it up on the whiteboard and you say, okay, we're 14% over what our fund balance should be. What do we do with that money? We haven't gotten that far yet, so that's why we're really not discussing it yet. I think staff would like to have some recommendations for you and bring that back for the future. But we certainly were planning on doing that. Yep. Colin?
I'm looking at the numbers for 2027. The one that jumps out at me is adds up to $16.638 million of work, I think, that you're talking about. A big chunk of it is this LSL mega project that you talked about. Are we staffed to do that work? That's a heck of a lot of work relative to what we normally do, I think.
No, we're not performing that work. That is a design and bid project, so it'd be hired out. But
Okay.
we need to fund that work.
It's a huge chunk, right? I'm not wrong there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So most of it is not going to impact our to a certain extent, you're going to have to help manage that.
Yep.
And there's no problems there.
I will take on that burden for the good of the public health.
All right. I'm just saying, do you need more staffing? That's the question.
I don't know how else to put it. Yes, Colin, it's a big project. It's going to be a pain in our patoot, but it needs to get done. They all need to go now or in 10 years.
I guess my question isn't that it needs to be done, is do you need more help? Do you need more staff to do it? That's my question.
Of course.
Well, this is a capital.
Personnel is on the 18th.
Personnel is later.
Right? All right.
Come back to that one later.
I'll be there too, but it's something to think about.
But you know, that's really cool. That will address all our lead situation in our water system, right? That project, that's great. And that's that new money that the state appropriated, right? Is that pot of money or how? Because that's a big chunk.
That was the remaining bill LSL funds, bipartisan infrastructure law. So this is like one of the last kick of the cats, to use your term, to get a share of the fund.
Yeah, well, no kidding. They want you to keep spending more. They're adding people to your staff. I mean, it's a good night for you. So, anybody else? Any other comments? Again, the big question always seems to come back, and Greg addressed that, and I just want to make sure that you understand that we don't anticipate much of an increase in the tax levy because of this additional borrow this year, and as Greg had explained, and that's why some of the projects got spread out, amortized longer to keep it there. We still do have a fund balance in our debt service fund, meaning we can adjust our debt payments to try and keep the tax rate down. And we'll probably be good for another 5 years with that, am I right? Another approximately 5 years with that fund balance that we can, I hate to say play with, but that's it gives us the ability to do that.
Yeah, you're right. For the next handful of years, and obviously it depends on how aggressive we want to be with that fund balance. We'll have that to play with. We also have transfer in from to-date through around 2033 as well. So after 2033, that transfer in from to-date, the debt service is gonna go away, and then we looks like based on the projections, we'll have a positive balance. We have about we still will have a positive balance in our debt service by 2033. It'll just be reduced by approximately $600,000.
Go ahead.
Over the course of the years, we've traditionally stuck with at the most 10-year loans, except for huge projects like the rec center. And it is the philosophy being that we want to get these things paid off sooner rather than later, when then we're paying less interest as a result of that. So I would request that if there's any way that we could reduce those 15 years down to 12 or 10, and still maintain at least some semblance of a level tax levy, I would appreciate seeing that.
Yeah, I can absolutely talk with R.W. Baird and see what's possible.
Yes, I mean, in the past, that's what we've done.
Well, so to do that, you understand this, to do that, if you increase the payments, because you're reducing the number of years, you're either gonna raise that 1.75% that we're anticipating the levy is gonna increase by. That might go up to like 2%, or we're gonna be using more fund balance to keep it at the 1.75.
I understand.
But he can play that game and get you that information, get us that information.
Yeah, that would be appreciated. In the end, we will, of course, pay less interest, and it is, in my opinion, the more responsible thing to do.
Yeah, I think it's obviously you're toggling those two factors that you're balancing.
The direction that he's going in is the direction that the mayor's office gave him.
I understand that,
All right.
and if something occurs that would be more attractive, then perhaps the mayor's office might think of doing something
Right,
different.
right. I get it. Yep. I get it. All right, anybody else? Again, this committee of the whole meeting, this will get put together with all of the other workshops that we have, and our plan is to have a budget for you to approve, I think try to approve at the first meeting in, is that our calendar? I think it is. The first meeting in November? Whatever. Yeah.
No.
It's 17th is the adoption of the budget.
Yeah.
17th of November.
On November.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to have something final.
Yeah, we're hoping to have a draft budget of the general fund on the 6th of October.
Okay. Our next workshop, Justin or whoever?
Next workshop's on September 1st, which is TIF in transit.
And TIF, we had a joint review board meeting today. And so we'll be basically getting you that same information that came from that board meeting. I can tell you it went well with our other taxing authorities. Our TID districts actually look very, very good right now. Obviously, TID 8 is still a distressed TID, but we're able to take care of that without having to borrow any money to do that. So, all right, and that's final. We won't have to do the TID now. Just kidding. Anybody else for the good of this meeting tonight? All right, it is no rush to get home. It's 11-0. Brewers are ahead. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, so we're good. But we need a motion to adjourn. Second. Motion by Hagan, second by Olson to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. We're adjourned at 9:01 p.m. Nice meeting, everybody.